Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boats in the Field Report. Today we're coming to you from Lindsay, Ontario, up here with the Durham Soil and Crop Association. With us today we got Mike that's with the Durham Field and Crop Association. Maybe give us just a little picture, Mike, of what the association is and what we're doing here today.
We're just a local organization. We work under the provincial umbrella. We just basically work to bring quality information and new ideas to our region here of Durham region, and just try and keep up with all the the new trends in the industry and keep people informed and just bring some new ideas, keep people thinking and just trying to move forward in their businesses.
And it sounds like a combination of our extension service and our NRCS in the States as far as trying to move information out to the front line to the farmer.
Yep. And then of course our at the provincial level, they facilitate a lot of different funding programs for different aspects of the businesses, everything from your environmental farm plan right out to different nitrogen management trials, rotational grazing, other conservation programs, stuff like that. So we work in conjunction with them. Like the Ontario Soil and Crop, we're big support or big help on us being able to bring you up here today to speak with this group. So
cool. Glad to be up here. We also have a couple Ontario growers here, and we're going to get their take on what last year looked like and where next year is going to be for them. State your name and maybe a little bit about your operation, where it's at, and again, what did last year look like for you, and then we'll come around with the second question about 2026.
Tim Webster, sixth generation farm from just west of here, primarily grain farm, and we just recently added poultry to the equation. 2025, I guess the best word would be painful. We had enough moisture to get to the finish line, and so we're average to a little below average for that, but corn and soybeans were basically a half a crop. I think our local soil and crop guy recorded the rainfall for July and August, and it was the lowest we've had in 50 years.
Wow.
And then it was a abnormally hot year, so we did have a crop to finish, but half a crop. So guys north of us were a lot worse, but so we're kind of we're hoping that doesn't repeat again. So
I guess I got to ask, when that happens in the States, we've got different levels of crop insurance that we fall back on. Is there a crop insurance type program here for the Canadian farmer? Does it work similar to what we have?
Yes, so we have provincial crop insurance coverage, which you can apply to or be enrolled in. Not everyone does. There's different coverage levels. I think we all felt after last year maybe we should have been insured a little higher. But we were very happy to have that, and so that, it helps pay the bills, that's for sure.
Cool. Thanks. I will ask you the same question as far as what's your name, where you're at, and just give me a background for our listeners on what last year looked like.
So Steve Crothers, to give you some reference, we farm about 50 miles straight east of Toronto, right on the North Shore of Lake Ontario. So last year, as Tim mentioned, was the driest year we've ever experienced in my 40 plus years of farming. A little more fortunate down where we were close to the lake. We had a couple half-inch rains, so we kind of ended up with 3/4 of our long-term average yield, so we fared a little bit better. We're corn, beans, wheat, and then we also grow quite a bit of edible beans, plus some custom work, mainly spraying and harvesting.
And is your edible beans like a double crop behind the wheat?
No, it'll be specifically for that year. We don't have quite enough time to double crop where we are. So white beans, zucchini beans is the two main edible beans we're growing.
And are those considered specialty crops up here? Do you get able to get crop insurance on those as well as you would your corn, soybeans, or corn, wheat?
Yes, we similar crop insurance program to the corn and soybean programs. Premiums are higher because of higher value, but and then most of the white beans grown in this part of the world are exported to the UK, is where a majority of them go, and then the zucchini beans we grow, they all end up in Japan.
So, am I correct as I look around the countryside here that probably soybeans here might be a stepchild compared to the other crops that are out there, or you grow as much soybeans as you do corn?
Most fellows, we're seed dealers, and majority of our customers are fairly equal corn, soybeans. Wheat is a very popular crop here too. I would say a typical farm might be 25% of their acres might be wheat, and then usually corn and soy acres a little higher than their wheat acres, but fairly diverse acres.
So with last year in the rearview mirror, what does 2026 look like up here as far as on your operation? Concern, I guess, is being able to cash flow everything, and we don't maybe have the specialty crops that you're talking about here, but what's your 2026 outlook look like? Are you changing plans any, or is it something that you're making arrangements now to handle different, or are you staying the same course?
I think for 2026, our biggest thing is hope for typical average rainfalls. After last year's drought, that's the biggest thing in everybody's mind. And then, of course, the economic challenges with the fertilizer situations is obviously troubling to everybody. So, yeah, it's cost of inputs. If we get the good yields, then, we can deal with those. But another weather year like last year would definitely be a struggle for a lot of people.
In the States, a lot of our fertilizer needs are bought, paid for, even applied. And what's not applied, a lot of that has been pre-purchased. Would that be the same here, or are growers now going to the retailer to get their fertilizer bought and paid for?
It'd be interesting to talk to a fertilizer retailer, but I would say a lot of the fertilizer here in this part of Ontario isn't prepaid. Might be 25%, I'm just guessing. More so the fellows using 28% are prepaid because it's been hard to get the last few years, so more of that's maybe prepaid, but generally not near as much fertilizer is prepaid as what in a perfect world would have been. The seed business, this part of the world's prepaid in December, majority of it, so that ties up a lot of cash flow, particularly on a poor weather year, right? So there wasn't kind of need to looking for expenditures, so yeah, that fertilizer issue is going to be the biggest challenge.
So the shock and sticker price is real,
yes,
because a lot of that hasn't been locked down.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Well, Tim, what about you? What's your outlook on the 2026?
So we're actually just running the numbers again recently. We had to kind of jig some things around, but did get some fertilizer pre-bought in February, and glad we did. But even the price spread on those on nitrogen products for premium products, like typically our wheat blend and our corn blend is a blend of urea, ammonium sulfate, and like a time release product like ESN or Pure Yield. And just the spread on our prices, the spread this year on our top dress program on our wheat is $32 more to go with the time release product versus straight urea. So I think on our wheat this year we're going to do a lot of split applications. We got some on early in the frost, but at $32 an acre savings, if you pay yourself $15 an acre, there's $17 in your pocket on an already not hugely profitable crop. So I think on a year like this coming up, anything you can do to save small increments adds up well for the whole operation. Just price of diesel, price of fertilizer, everything's up. So just kind of got to be really mindful of that stuff. And
$5 here, $5 there
it adds up, right? So, but so that's what we're kind of looking at. And then corn, we might do the same. I do like to use ESN or Pure Yield in my corn broadcast, and it gets vertical tilled in. So a lot of our corn gets worked, and that's typically how we do it. But something you just got to look at differently just to try and stay profitable.
With the ROI where it is, do you see much crop change here? Or growers making some adjustments on whether they're planting corn on corn or beans on beans, or better everybody stay in the course?
Ourselves, we're going to stay the course. I've kind of been, because I'm, I guess, young enough, I'm fairly highly leveraged with farm mortgages, so I always incrementally sell through the year, and I've been chipping away with the markets that have been up on some corn sales and some bean sales. So just because I like to have that security of income to make those payments. So ourselves, we're going to stay the same. I know there are some guys that are going to go less corn, more beans, just less dollars to put it in. So maybe the profits aren't as high, but there's less risk involved.
Yeah. So a lot of talk about crop changes also in the Midwest. From our side, we typically haven't adjusted a lot of maps, so I think the majority of them are still staying the course at this point. They're kind of locked and loaded anyway, because we do a lot more fall fertilizing than you do it up here. It's interesting to know that probably not a lot of shifts taking place here as well as down there. I appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time here in our lunch break to kind of give our growers an update of what's going on north of the border. They'll be definitely interested, and I'm sure they, like me, will wish you guys the best of spring, and hopefully that you keep some of that water this year that you lost last year, and you can keep the smoke too that you tend to send us. So, but thanks a bunch. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.